The mess hall of Station Kelver 9 hummed with the usual cacophony of a dozen species trying to coexist. Elara sat alone at a corner table, her tray laden with what the station generously called human-compatible nutrition. It looked like gray paste with chunks of something that might have once been vegetables. She didn't complain. Humans rarely did anymore, not after they'd been relegated to the bottom tier of the Galactic Council's hierarchy. Across the hall, Rin watched her with predatory interest. The young Feliction's whiskers twitched with amusement as he nudged his packmate, a larger Tom named Vexer. The Felictions were apex hunters from a world where strength determined everything, and they brought that philosophy to the stars with brutal efficiency. "Watch this," Rin purred. His tail swishing behind him, he approached Elara's table with the swagger of someone who'd never faced consequences. She glanced up, her brown eyes meeting his golden ones for just a moment before returning to her meal. That dismissal stung more than any insult could have. "Human," Rin drawled, his accent thick with contempt. "I see they're feeding you well." Elara continued eating, her expression neutral. "Can I help you?" "Oh, I think you can." Rin leaned over her tray, and with deliberate slowness, he let saliva drip from his fangs onto her food. The globule landed with a wet plop in the center of her meal. "There. Improve the flavor for you." The mess hall quieted. Conversations died mid-sentence as dozens of eyes turned toward the confrontation. This was entertainment, a break from the monotony of station life. Humans were soft, everyone knew that. They didn't have claws or armor plating or venomous stingers. They'd stumbled into the galactic community with nothing but crude ships and primitive weapons, and they'd been pushed to the margins ever since. Elara set down her spork slowly. She looked at her ruined meal, then up at Rin. Her face remained perfectly calm, almost serene. "You just made a mistake," she said quietly. Rin laughed, a sound like gravel in a blender. "A mistake? What are you going to do, human?" "File a complaint." He turned to his audience, arms spread wide. "The human is going to—" He never finished the sentence that Elara's hand shot out, grabbed the edge of his tunic, and yanked him down toward the table with shocking force. Rin's face slammed into the tray, his snout buried in the very food he'd contaminated. Before he could react, Elara was on her feet, one hand pressing his head down, the other twisting his arm behind his back with a precision that spoke of training. "Listen carefully," Elara whispered into his pinned ear. "On my world, we have a saying: don't start a fight with someone who has nothing left to lose." Rin snarled and tried to push up, relying on his superior Felixian strength. He was stronger than her. Biology didn't lie. But Elara shifted her weight, used his own momentum against him, and suddenly Rin found himself face down on the table with her knee in his back. "You see," Elara continued, her voice carrying across the silent mess hall, "humans aren't strong like Felixians. We're not venomous like Threxians. We don't have armored hides like Crag." She increased the pressure on his arm, just shy of breaking. "But we're persistent. We're creative. And we're really, really good at holding grudges." Vexer took a step forward, claws extending, but froze when Elara's other hand produced a small device from her pocket. It wasn't a weapon, not technically, but the arc of electricity that danced between its prongs suggested otherwise. "Station regulations," Elara said calmly. "Personal safety devices are permitted. You want to find out what 50,000 volts feels like." The larger Felixian backed down. Elara released Rin and stepped back, the device still visible in her hand. The young cub scrambled up, food dripping from his face, his pride shattered in front of the entire mess hall. His ears flattened against his skull, a Felixian sign of humiliation. You'll pay for this," Rin hissed. "Will I?" Elara tilted her head. "Here's what's going to happen. You're going to go to the dispensary and get me a fresh meal. You're going to deliver it to my quarters with an apology. And you're going to spread the word that humans aren't easy prey anymore. And if I don't?" Elara smiled, and there was something predatory in it that made Rin's hackles rise. "Then I'll show you why humans were the apex predators on Earth for 200,000 years. We didn't have claws or fangs, Rin. We had something better. We learned to think." She gestured around the room. "Look at this station. Look at the ships docked outside. Human engineering, human mathematics, human problem solving. We might have come late to the galactic party, but we came prepared." Station Commander Threx, a massive crag with scales like iron plates, had been watching from the command tier above. His rumbling voice echoed through the hall. The human speaks truth. Humans have increased station efficiency by 34% since their arrival. They've solved problems we couldn't. Perhaps we've been unwise in our treatment of them. Elara turned her attention back to Rin. The young Felixian was trembling now, not from fear, but from the shock of having his worldview shattered. He'd been taught that strength was everything, that the strong ruled and the weak served. But this human had just demonstrated that there were different kinds of strength. You said I'd be the main course, Elara said softly. You were wrong. On Earth, we have predators called cats, small, deadly hunters. We domesticated them. We made them pets. Want to know how? Rin's eyes widened. We outlasted them. We outthought them. We adapted. Elara pocketed her device. You're not the first predator species humanity has dealt with, Rin. And if you're smart, you'll realize that we're not prey. We're competitors. The mess hall remained silent as Elara gathered what remained of her meal and walked toward the disposal unit. She paused at the door and looked back at Rin. 1 hour. My quarters. Fresh food and an apology. Don't disappoint me. After she left, Vexer approached his packmate. You're really going to do it? Rin wiped the food from his face, his expression thoughtful. Did you see her eyes? Really see them? I saw. Front-facing. Binocular vision. Predator's eyes. Rin's tail lashed once. We've been treating them like prey animals. But Earth humans, they're hunters, just like us. Maybe better. So you'll apologize? Rin nodded slowly. I'll apologize. And then I'll learn. Because if the humans are joining the galactic community as competitors rather than servants. He looked at the scattered crowd, seeing the various species with new understanding. Then the hierarchy is about to change. And I'd rather be on their side when it does. Commander Threx's voice rumbled again from above. Wise cub. Very wise. As the mess hall slowly returned to its normal chaos, whispers spread from table to table, species to species. The story of the human who'd put a Felixian cub in his place would spread throughout the station by nightfall, and from there, to other stations, other worlds. The humans weren't prey anymore. They never really had been. They'd just been waiting for the right moment to remind everyone of that simple, terrifying truth. And in her quarters, Elara allowed herself a small smile. One small victory. But victories, she knew, were contagious. It was a start.